All right, algebraites. Today what we're going to spend some time doing is doing some background information, and our key thing that we're going to focus on is simplify, and we're going to evaluate expressions. So, in order for us to do that, we need to know the order of operations. You might have learned it as PEMDAS with a big P there. The problem with PEMDAS is that it doesn't cover other types of symbols, other types of grouping symbols. So I avoid PEMDAS, I say GEMDAS, because the grouping symbols could include the parentheses, like we're most used to. It could also include our friend the bracket, which is just a squared off parenthesis. It could also be the radical symbols. You guys probably say square root. And it could also be the fraction bar, the numerator on top, the denominator on the bottom. Each one of those is a separate group. This does have a name, if you didn't know, called the vinculum. So the next up is exponents. Exponents there. So that means you need to evaluate the exponent. For example, if I have 2 to the third, I need to make sure to do 2 to the third power. Exponent, by the way, just comes from some Latin/Spanish type words. Ex, like to exit, means to go out. And for those of you who are Spanish speaking, you polyglots out there, ¿cómo se dice poner? Poner. Mathematically, to put outside. So notice that little guy is to put outside there. Hence, that's what exponent means. Exponent, the little guy there. So we're going to evaluate those next. Multiplication, division, and I do want to point out that these are kind of grouped together, left to right. Multiplication does not come first. They're on the same level. And of course, the other ones I'm going to abbreviate here. Add, subtract. And again, these are also left to right. Okay, so let's walk through one example. As you might see the setup here, you're going to spend some time pair share, having a conversation about things. Then we give you some practice down below. This, again, is your entire assignment for tonight, is to finish the front and the back of this. All right, first thing first, I'm a realist. All right, let's take a gander here. I'm going to do the inside first of the group. So here, inside the grouping, so I'm going to ignore the 8 until the very end. And yet, inside the group, I have a priority. Inside the group starts the order of operation over again. So I need to look inside this group and do GEMDAS all over. Inside the group, there's no other groups, so I can ignore that. There's no exponents, so I can ignore that. So the next thing is multiplication or division. So that means this guy comes next. All right, so I'm going to rewrite everything. 8 comes down. The 5 plus the 6 comes down now. Order of operation, multiplication or division comes before the addition or subtraction. I'm still working inside the group, so the 8 comes down still. And now I can add those together. And then the last thing is multiplication because the group is done. 88 is my end result. Please box or circle your answers so they're easy to find. Next, look at the pair share there. Please have a quick conversation with your neighbor. What do we do? What's the first thing? What's the second thing? Go. First thing we do here, as told to us by our genius students, is that we are going to do inside the grouping symbol, inside the parentheses to get 8 plus 3 times 7. Coming next here, you might be tempted to say 11 plus times 7. But no, we don't go left to right like this is English. Math is different. So we are going to prioritize right there. So we get now 8 plus the 21. And then, of course, the last thing is 29. Box or circle your answer so it's easy to find. Now we're going to be on the back side looking at example number 2. A quick thing that I want to refresh here is the word evaluate. And we can see there that there is the root is value. The root is value. What is the value of this expression? Now, right now, this has no value. It's just 7a and a b and a 2. But once we substitute some things in, this is going to reduce to a single term. In other words, the value of the expression. Oftentimes, when we evaluate, we're going to do two things. We're going to substitute, and then we're going to simplify. Substitute and simplify to get a single value, a single number. So let me substitute some things in. We're told that the A is worth 2 and that the B is worth 6. So I'm going to put those in with parentheses. It's a good habit to write parentheses. But Swenson, we already have a bunch of parentheses here. Okay, I might change it up then. Instead of doing a parentheses 7 times A, I might do the bracket 7 times A so that I have the parenthesis on the inside. So I have the authority to change those symbols. Instead of parentheses, I can use brackets instead. Why use a bracket? So as I do this, I'm going to put a bracket there. Sorry, that's not a bracket. Bracket 7. Now I'm going to do parentheses 2, bring down the minus, and now parentheses 6. End parenthesis, end bracket. And now it's fairly clear where things start and where things end. According to my order of operations here, I'm going to do inside the brackets first because there's nothing to do in the red parentheses and there's nothing to do in the green. Those are already simplified. So I'm going to do inside, which means the 2 comes down, nothing done to it. Bracket there, now I have 14 minus, and the 6 comes down. Notice that I got rid of the parentheses there on the 6. I don't need them anymore. I could have them, it doesn't hurt me, but it also doesn't help me. Why did I practice with parentheses? Especially when dealing with negatives, you want to have that parenthesis there to help you deal with negatives. All right, and now we finish up with 2 other steps. I'm going to do 2 here. Feel free to convert back to parentheses or keep the brackets here. I get an 8. 14 minus 6 is 8. And lastly, I get 16 there. Box or circle your answer. Go. With your neighbor, please attack, kill, destroy right there. What's the next step look like? And then what will the order of operations look like? Go. So when you substitute in, I highly encourage you to always use parentheses. It does not matter in this case so much with the positive numbers, but later when we get to negatives, it is muy importante. All right, so let's attack, kill, destroy the next one here. I get a 10 plus a 2 all over 6. Notice the 6 doesn't change, but I'm still going to write it. 12 over 6. Lastly, the answer is 2 there.